Ladies and gentlemen, the final page of our practice test. Here we go. Number 5. It says you have a parent graph, the quadratic parent graph, f of x equals x squared. And you know what? I did it a little thicker and bigger for you so you could see it. Anyway, we need to move this or transform it many different ways. You need to move it to the right 5 units, to the left 5 units, up 5 units, down 5 units, vertically stretch, vertically compress, reflect it on the x-axis, all these other fun things to do with parent graphs. So in order to be able to do all that stuff, you need to have the general form ready. Okay, and that's the general form right there. And I hope you guys remember that the A value tells you your vertical stretch, your H value tells you a left or right shift, but you have to think opposite because of that minus sign. The K value is the vertical movement up or down. So H and K are translations. H is left and right, and it's always inside parentheses with the X value. And the K value is always on the outside at the very end, and that is what your movement up or down. It's a translation, it's a shift. Okay. So anyway, let's move on to 5A. It says move it to the right 5 units. So if you're moving to the right 5 units, you know that you need to look at your H value. And the H value to the right 5 units means that it's positive 5, but when you write it in here, it's going to have a minus in front of it. You got to think opposite. So what does that become? Or let's first think about this. There is no parentheses right here. There's no parentheses around the X. So it's kind of like we need to draw the parentheses and put that minus 5 inside the parentheses with X, and the score will be on the outside. So let me just move this out of the way and you'll see the answer. X minus 5 within the parentheses. G of x equals parentheses x minus 5 squared. And same thing with the next one. It says move it left 5 units. So to move it left 5 units, you got to think opposite of negative 5. So it's going to go in the parentheses with x as a plus 5. And that's exactly what happens right there. Okay. Now the up or down movement, move it 5 units up. Well, we know that's a K value. And since we know that the original parent graph doesn't have a K value, all we're going to do is slap that K value on there, right? We're going to put a plus 5 on there. Check it out. Just move this out of the way to show the answer. There's the plus 5 at the very end. And once again, we keep going back to the original parent graph to make all these different transformations. It's not like they're building one off of the other. We're always going back to the original and then doing the transformations they ask. So right here, down 5 units. Again, that's a K shift. Down 5, you're just going to put a minus 5 at the end of your x squared. And that's exactly what we do here. Put a minus 5. Now let's move on to the next one. Left 5 units and down 3 units. Okay, so they're giving us a H and a K. So left 5 means that you're going to put a negative 5 right here, but you have to think opposite. So it's going to go in as a plus 5. And then down 3, that means a minus 3 on the K. Take it for what it is. There you go. Okay, I apologize for moving everything around on you like that, but here we go. So we just did E, moving on to F. We want to move it left 5 units. So if we say left 5, that means it's going to go in here as a plus 5 because we think opposite. And then it says 4 units up, so we're going to go plus 4. So let's think about this. If I go, left 5 units and 4 up, left 5 means it's going to go in as a plus 5 inside the parentheses, and 4 up, it's going to be a plus 4. Now that's not our final answer, because it also says and reflects over the y-axis, and we need to remember, to reflect over the y-axis, you have to change the sign of x. To reflect over the x-axis, you have to change the sign of y. And right here, we are reflecting over the y-axis, so we need to change the sign of x. And where's x at? It's right here. You're just going to change the sign of x. So anyways, on this one that we've already transformed, we need to go inside the parentheses and change the sign of x only. And we'll get our final answer, g of x equals parentheses negative x plus 5 squared plus 4. Option, or step G, or part G, right 3 units, down 2 units. Okay, let's think about that. right 3 units. So that's going to go in as a -3 right here because you have to think opposite. And down 2 units is the k value, so it's going to be a -2. And if we remove this, we'll see that that first transformation of right 3 and down 2 is right here. Okay. Now if you leave this as your answer, you only get half credit because you're still not done. After you go right 3 units and down 2 units, after that you need to reflect it over the x-axis. So once again, how do we reflect over the y-axis? To reflect over the y, you change the sign of x. To reflect over the x, you change the sign of y. So you're probably asking yourself, okay, well, let me just change the sign of y. Where's y at? Well, is that y? No, that's an x. Is this? No, that. Where's y at? That's where you have to realize that g of x really represents y. The whole function is y. So when they say reflect over the x-axis, they're telling you to change the sign of y. They're telling you to change the sign of the whole entire function. So to sum it up, all you do is put a minus sign in front of the parenthesis. If you had an a value of 3, you'd put a -3. If you had an a value of -7, you make it a +7. Whatever number's out here in the front, you just put a negative right in front of it, and you change the sign of this one. So change the sign of a, change the sign of k, and you're good. You have changed the sign of y, if that makes sense. Okay, once again, the first part was just reflecting 3 units to the right and 2 units down. That's here. And now I'm going to reflect over the x-axis. You're going to change the sign of y, which is the whole thing. And let me change the sign of the whole thing, and you get that right there. Okay? And once again, I change the sign of that and change the sign of that. Why don't you change the inside value signs? Because they're protected by the parentheses. Whatever you do to this outside guy, it's like if you already did it to those inside guys. Anyway, moving on to the final part, the domain and range of the parent graph. Well, the parent graph is a quadratic, and you might need a visual here. That's really ugly. I apologize. Here's your x, here's your y. And what does a quadratic look like? Well, that's a parabola. And that is the ugliest parabola I've ever drawn. I apologize. But we don't need a perfect parabola. We just want to get the understanding of this thing. Where is this parabola going? Well, it goes this way forever. Even though it looks like it curves up, it never gets completely vertical. It actually continues to go in this direction forever. And likewise, it continues to go in this direction forever. So if you think about the domain, it's asking you, when they ask you for domain, they're asking you for the x values, which means this way and that way. The x values, it really does go this way forever, because it does go to the left forever. It does go to the right forever. So the domain would be x equals all real numbers. Now, how about the range? Well, the range, you're talking about the y values whenever they ask you for range. So they're saying, what y values does this parabola have? Well, this whole parabola is up here in the positive values for y. I mean, and you know it continues up forever. You know it continues up forever. So the y values, the lowest point of the y values on your parabola is right here, and everything else is above it. So how do we describe that in terms of an inequality? Your range is going to be y is greater than or equal to 0. I hope this helps. I think we need one more video to talk about what's it called, the residual chart, to see how strong a line that best fits is according to a residual chart. And I'll get that last video to you soon.